Hey, welcome back to the channel. And today, hopefully, we finish Big Bird. We've got a bunch of minor things to do, one semi-major. We are going to get the shifter done today. So the actual Jeep is pretty much finished. We got to play with the hooks or bumper, or I'm not exactly sure what we're doing there yet. We'll see what happens. Mike's bringing some more goodies today. Good Lord only knows what, because he keeps showing up with stuff. So you'll see that on his channel, what he shows up with, and probably later in here. But we've got some fender work to do. We've got work to do on the one body mount. I got it rethreaded. I found out what's wrong with it. It's still giving us a hard time. I've got a solution, but it's giving us a hard time. So we're going to get that done today. After that, it's minor, tighten up bolts, check things, and Mike's going to work on the fenders. I'll give him a hand with that, and then I'm working on the shifter. I'm going to do a few little measures just to make sure it stays there this time. That way, it shouldn't fall apart on him, and he should be able to send it without worrying about going, uh-oh, where'd it go? It won't fall apart. So, stay tuned with us. Check out how this goes, and I'll see you at the end of the video. So, any of you that follow Mike, and if you don't, I suggest you go check out a few of his videos, all of his videos. Anyways, Mike has fun with the Jeep, but lately he's been eating rats. That's why this whole project. Found out that the whole Jeep was moving. He didn't know how badly. I will show you something, though, saving grace. I did find out what was holding this thing together. I will show you that in a minute. But one of the things we noticed when you get everything done is that the front end still twists. So we're looking at it, and we figured out partly why. So we're going to make another mod that's hopefully going to help keep the whole rad cradle from moving, and thus, again, help him from eating rats. So, looking at the front end, everything looks good. He put his new mounts in, stuff like that. He's got those down in there. The only thing is notice, there's a little bumper. And there's the frame. That's a lot of space. Basically, this little bumper should, second, I'm trying to get the light sitting here for you. Yeah. Oh, there we go. This bumper basically should be resting on the frame. It's just a little rubber bumper. It doesn't get mounted, but it should be resting on the frame. That way it allows a little bit of movement, but not a lot. Right now, you can twist his whole front end. If his fenders and everything flex here, flex out, this whole front end moves considerably. He was rocking it. So that, of course, is moving the rad, everything else. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to add a bridge here on this so that it just sits under it. So we're going to build something that pushes against this on both sides so that it's not squished, it's not bolted, it just sits on it the same as it's supposed to. But it'll actually be sitting on something. Then it won't move so much. Hopefully that'll help to reduce the rad eating as well. Okay, so reusing materials. I grabbed that tubing that Mike had for spacers in the back, and I cut it open, made a U. The nice thing is it's just slightly bigger than the frame, drops over everything beautifully. So what we're going to do is we're going to weld this in on the frame like that so that it sits and touches the bumper. That way I can get it nice and square, weld it in nice, and that's just going to give that little extra anti-wiggle that hopefully he needs. Okay, well, I've tried these glasses. For me, they're not that great. They do shield your eyes, but it's still very bright. They're, I think on a scale, these things are set about like a 9 uh, as a welding glass, and I find them a little too light. My eyes are sensitive to too much light. I find these let too much in. Now, for shits and giggles, I decided to try on the sunglasses under them. These ones made it too dark. Went the other direction. So, for me, I'm not sure. Maybe if I could get a light tint inside of this, or find a lighter pair of sunglasses that I could wear, something, they might work. They do work. They do go darker. But I just find them, for my liking, too bright. Then again, what do you expect for $19? Other than that, they're not bad. They do what they're supposed to do. They do shade. I think if I was grinding, or if I was acetylene, they'd be fine. I find for the wire feed, they're just not quite dark enough for my liking. That said, I have used them. I used them in the back of the Jeep here, and I've used them for another little task. They do work. They do shield your eyes. It's just myself, I like them a little darker. So I'm going back to the helmet and see if I can fit it in here. Well, that sucks. I pulled the line. I ran the brake line through here because it was running up the frame. Good idea. I unhooked it, pulled it out of the way, and still a spark from the welder managed to touch and go through the copper line. I am surprised and also annoyed. So now we're going to have to fix that. Minor, but still a pain in the butt. So we'll have to cut it in here, find out where our hole is, cut it, probably move it around the outside of this now, come around here somewhere, or here somewhere, or maybe back through, but we'll cut it, put a little splice in, put her back together. He's got lots of extra line on either side, so not life or death, but it is just another one of those things Big Bird's giving us a hard time with. Well, that kind of sucked, but we'll get that fixed. Minor. And I'm going to get the other one in, try to do something different on that side. I don't know, wrap an old glove around it or something, keep it from happening on that side. As I said, I finally found out what was holding this thing up. Yep, those. Basically, there are two tiny little body pucks in the inner section of his rear tub. Between those and the two in the front that were actually doing something, that's what was keeping this thing from falling off the body. That was it. So, as you can see, those aren't very thick. I'm sure they had a lot of movement for being only 4 of those to hold the whole body in shape. Now, as you know, we've got these beautiful things. We've got all these ones mounted properly, and he's good to go. Well, I said Mike was going to do some work on the fenders. I'll show you exactly what kind of work in a minute. But I'll show you this. He's got some nice new hardware coming along with it too. Nice new latches to keep the hood on. So he's got those going on now. He's working on those. Got rid of this one because these are actually going to come off. And he's putting these on. So this is what's going on. what's left of the fender. We still have to trim some more so it fits, but that's everything cut out. We got to remove a couple of bolts there because the new one bolts into the back of this. And yeah, you keep your inner fender from the original, and then the rest bolts up into here, and we there you have it. One fender on. Now we get to use it as a shelf already. Anyway, it's on. We're using it away. Mike's throwing sparks over here already. So Mike's on that side trying to get the fender cut. And so we can get the other one done. Then we'll get to the body mount. Well, there we have it. A heck of a lot of fighting. We have this one on. We still have to put all the top bolts in. And, yep, it's already being a shelf. Anyways, they look nice. They sure make a nice look to the front of the Jeep. They get a good view of that one as we back this thing out of here eventually. So, we did end up messing up I did mess up the one brake line. So we're going to get a fitting and fix that tomorrow, and that'll take care of that problem. And then we have to bleed brakes again in the front, but there's that. The one body mount I'm going to play with yet and show you that. I'm going to use the endoscope to get that lined up, and once we get it lined up, it's just a case of putting in that bolt, tightening up the other two, and that's done, dealt with, finished. So we're almost there. So there's the 4x4 shifter. It's back in again. We used all the stock parts, or stock-ish parts. Parts that were working but kept falling apart. I figured part of the problem was that because the body shifting, these two pieces were coming apart, as well as this piece here would pop out quite easily. So this time when I put this thing through, I noticed it was very loose. So what I did, I welded a washer on the outside of it here. So now it can't fall out anymore. This whole mechanism can still pop apart if it really has to, but this won't. So hopefully that helps. We'll see. If it comes apart again on them, we're going to have to just maybe revamp it, cut the thing here, and just put ourselves a piece that goes straight up through that you can just pull and push. But for now, the original shifter works, and it should shift into 2- and 4-wheel drive the way it's supposed to, at least for a week. Okay, we have to play with this one body mount down here. That's, as you can see, the tilt I've got it on to try to get the bolt up in, because the nut is not straight in the new torque box. So Problem is getting it lined up. You're tapping it left, you're tapping it right, you're trying to figure out where in the hell lined up is. So I've got it on the tilt that the bolt was on when it threaded in without anything under it. The problem is now to get the top so it actually lines up where the nut is. So I got out this toy. Thanks to my daughter a couple of years ago, she decided that I needed an endoscope. And she bought me this thing, as you can see, right there. Yep, kind of cool. So it's got the lights in it. It's got all the rigmaroles it needs. Hooks up to my tablet. Hooks up to my phone. Hooks up to the, not to the computer actually. It's one thing it doesn't hook up to. But anyways, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this up here into our hole, and then we're going to look here. There we go. Sorry, there we go. So as you can see, centered and where the threads are is yeah. So I'm going to sit here and tap at it and try to get it so it lines up. All right. Okay, I'm going to leave this for tomorrow. Okay, that's closer. Well, that's looking better. There we go. That almost looks like it's centered. Just off a tiny bit. Oh, now we're too far that way. Oh, now we're going the wrong way. Okay. I'm going to take some of this trash with me. Okay. Just so there isn't so much crap left over. There we go. There we go. As you can see, I kept going the wrong direction every once in a while. Hopefully you guys got to see that. Every once in a while I went the wrong direction. That's because what I was tapping in the direction it was moving on the scope with two different things. So now, hopefully, our bolt will fit up in there and screw in. We'll see in a minute. Oh. And there we have it. Now sitting the way it's supposed to. Still got to tighten it up a bit, but it's dropped down. No more jack. They're sitting in all three body mounts. We're going to be back at it tomorrow. We're going to bring, finish up a couple of minor things on Big Bird here, get it out of here, and then bring Moose in. And I want to try to get some work done on the rear bumper before we go out again. We tweaked it pulling it out of the mud the one day, and it wasn't so much the bumper but the mount itself that bent. The welds all held, but the metal was weak. So I'm building a new plate over it and tying that back into the frame. So because it kind of had an L bracket, now it'll have a fixed full kind of tube to attach to. Should make it a lot stronger and withstand a little bit more yanking, pulling, and stuff, which I want to do with it, be able to recover other people. So I want it to get strong. Might as well fix it now while we can. So anyways, hopefully you guys get to see that. I get to include that in this video, and I'll be back in a flash. Well, I'm back. And we're getting at the rest of the Big Bird. Hopefully, very shortly, we'll be able to roll it out of here. We're going to fix the brake line that we ended up sparking through. He's wiring up the lights. I got a little bit of body work to do for him. Got a couple minor things, some bolts to throw in, and it's good to go. Lead the brakes. Mike's here, and a special guest. He brought the boss with him. Yep, Justine's here too. So we're gonna get in there, get at it, and we're gonna try to get this thing so it can fly the Coupe, and I can get Moose back in, get a couple things done I need for it, because next weekend we're hitting the trails and we're testing out Big Bird and having some fun. All right, there we have it. Mike's got the lights, nice new little button lights hooked up, and they work. He switched the flash as well so they don't look like they're having a spaz and flash 200 miles an hour. They flash properly now, so that's done. You can check out his channel to see how to do that if you want to change it on your own, if you're changing into the LEDs. Moose is the same, although I haven't found out where the flasher is to know what kind I need to replace it. So mine flashed pretty quick as well. But I've got a short in mine, so when my headlights are on, my headlights actually dim slightly when my flasher's on. Got to figure that one out one of these days. Other than that, Big Bird is back together. Mike's just trying to put his dash back together, and he's got it looking. Well, actually, he doesn't. Justine here.
Hi.
She got the Jeep all cleaned up and back together, so it's actually looking like Big Bird used to look like, only sitting on all its proper body marks. So they're just about done, and Big Bird's going to fly the Coupe. So there's the 4x4 shifter. It's back in again. We used all the stock parts, or stock-ish parts. Parts that were working but kept falling apart. I figure part of the problem was that because the body shifting, these two pieces were coming apart, as well as this piece here would pop out quite easily. So this time when I put this thing through, I noticed it was very loose. So what I did, I welded a washer on the outside of it here. So now it can't fall out anymore. This whole mechanism can still pop apart if it really has to, but this won't. So hopefully that helps. We'll see. If it comes apart again on them, we're going to have to just maybe revamp it, cut the thing here, and just put ourselves a piece that goes straight up through that you can just pull and push. But for now, the original shifter works, and it should shift into 2- and 4-wheel drive the way it's supposed to, at least for a week. The moment of truth. There we go. Big Bird has left the nest. Unfortunately, half of them stayed behind. And there goes Big Bird. Well, I'm going to kind of sort through this, see if there's anything reusable. Any big washers or anything else we can use. The rest of it we're not keeping. Even though the sheet metal on that could be used, really we don't need it. And I don't really have anywhere to store it. So I'm going to go through this pile of rubber, see what, if anything's worthwhile in there. You know, if we might keep that, that might be worthwhile. That's a good chunk of metal. But other than that, we'll probably shred through the rest of this pretty quick. The back bumper here, or actually no, this is front bumper. Sorry, front bumper here. It is being kept. We had to cut the one bolt here around it so we could twist out that one bolt. But that one's going to get passed on to Mitchell for the truggy. he doesn't have a back bumper, so he's going to mod that out and make it work for a back bumper on that one. So at least it'll get reused. Moose is back in the house. We cleaned up all the debris. It's all done, out of the way. And now Moose is in, so we can get a couple things done. What I'm going to be doing is taking this back bumper off. All my things that plug in here all unhook just by plugs. Made sure of that. So we're going to pull this off. We're going to reinforce the mount here that holds the bumper on the frame, because that's what twisted, not the bumper, but the frame. We're going to get that straightened out, get it rebuilt, and build a bracket to reinforce it on both sides. Then while I've got the bumper off, I'm going to recheck and see if there's anything else I need to do to help reinforce it. But you can see that's that step plate. It's 1/8 inch. It's pretty tough. It's got lots to it, and it's got quite the frame behind it. If you look back at some of my videos, you'll see I've had it off and worked on it a few times. It's pretty solid. So we're just going to try to make the body part a little more solid so it doesn't move so much, and we'll be good.